Hey guys, we're here in the studio at Bondi Beach. We're speaking to Tim Heinecke today about happiness in the home. Guys.
Oh dear.
Oh, RDO.
What a good office, eh?
Yeah, not a bad office, is it? So, which one do you want, Sheena?
Hi.
Hello.
These are cool, but I feel like the strap's gonna get in the way.
That's right. It's all good.
This is cool.
Yep. You're right with that?
Yep. These are my favourites.
Are they?
I've got to get a bigger cord for the other ones. Is that in your way though, Sheena?
This is not in my way, no.
Alright, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Yeah, how close am I?
Is it Tim Heinecke then?
Yep, that sounds good
Tim
to me.
Heinecke, like, let's have a beer.
Yeah.
I just I answer to anything because it's when you have a surname like that, you can get precious about it, or you can just answer to anything.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah. Teaching, 20 years.
20 years.
Like more than 20 years. Yeah, but
Okay.
I know I look like a baby.
Broadcasting from the world-famous Bondi Beach. This is Bondi Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live down on Bondi Radio with our guest in the studio and my lovely co-host Sheena Alexandra. Our guest is Tim, the Beer Man Heinecke. We're just chatting about that off air. What can we call you? And you said you'll answer to anything, so I'm going to call you the Beer Man Heinecke.
It's better than I get half pint. So
Half pint. Oh, that's good. Half pint. Oh no, mate, you're full pint.
Oh, that's so endearing. Liam, you're so funny. You know what? You just make me smile.
I didn't even remember what I just said then. I'm just on a
you're
coffee high.
The Beer Man. The Beer Man.
The Beer Man, yeah, that's right. Well, welcome in, Tim. Super excited about our conversation today, buddy. We're going to be chatting all things teacher, wellness, happiness, and your journey to where you are now with your purpose. So I have a question to start off with, just to, we chatted off air about who you are, and we could go on many tangents and many rabbit holes. I feel that with you already because you've got such a wealth of knowledge. But what is your niche or micro niche or purpose around what you're actually doing right now with your business and your life?
Oh, great question, and thanks for having me. Look, in a nutshell, I want to make sure that kids get the best childhood possible, because at the end of the day, we get one chance at it. As an adult, we can change careers, we can go and, enroll in another course, we can do something different, but for kids, they get one shot at being 7, they get 1 year to have the best year that they can as a 12-year-old, and that's what I'm about, is trying to help parents and teachers to make sure that they're creating the best childhood possible.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. It's a very honourable role to do that, especially dealing with elementary school kids. Is that what you're dealing with?
Yeah, lots. So primary school, like right through. Yeah, primary school, high school, all of that, all the whole gamut.
So the reason why I said I think it's an honourable role, because I was probably one of the pests in primary school that you had to deal with. The little red-headed child that was just running amok all the time. I couldn't help myself. Just couldn't get me sat down, and always needed to move my body. Do you find that there's a certain personality type where you just know straight away that kid's going to be a pain in the bum?
Well, because
is that rude to ask?
No, not at all. Because
okay,
I was the same kid, and that's why I became a teacher, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to have the understanding of kids like that, because I was like that too. I couldn't sit still, and that's normal. I mean, it's not just a boy thing, but it's very normal for young boys. I only know, being a little fella. What were you like at school?
I was very hyper, and
I can imagine. You still are now. I mean,
hyper now.
It's just like past tense.
She did. I think she ran a marathon, going in and out, doing the filming, just the Facebook Live. She in and out, and I'm like, whoa, she's fast. You reckon you're not a good runner? You were saying you need to work on your running?
I waddle.
You waddle. Okay, you waddle. I think you're a fantastic runner. I think you've run you've done your dash today with your 10,000 steps.
Yes,
I think
thank you.
so. We both have. Anyway, trying to film on YouTube and Facebook Live, and you can find us down on Bondi Beach if you want to come and have a look and take some photos, or ask us some questions around health, or give us grief like Richard did last week.
Yeah. Let's get back to our guest here, Tim. Tim, can you talk about how did you get into, well, first of all, I want to hear that story again about you and the elementary school, of how you...
just how I was the pain.
Yeah.
Like Liam was saying. Well, look, I mean, I've got two brothers, and so it was a really active household, and so we were used to moving around, and we're probably prime candidates for what nowadays you might call ADD or things like that. But we were lucky because we were in sport and we were active and we were outdoors, and mum and dad knew that they had to be able to channel that energy somehow, somewhere. But yeah, I was the kid at school who got the information fairly quickly, and then sort of went, well, but what's next? What's more? And so yeah, I got in trouble lots. It's terrible, but when we were in high school, we had this thing called the paddle, which was like a cricket bat, like a mini cricket bat.
Yeah.
And if you did the wrong thing, you'd get that across the butt.
Actually?
Yeah.
No way.
And I got it every second week in year 8, but never got it for the same thing twice. So I was proud of that. But I made sure I goofed up differently each time.
Yeah.
That's good. And I'm glad that you touched on a couple of things. You talked about ADD and you talked about you getting into sport. Do you think this might be a whole topic of conversation for another day, potentially? But do you think ADD is an actual thing, or do you think it's because they need to be channeling their energy into something, or do you think it's more of a nutritional thing? Like, there's a lot of theories out there talking about ADD. Is it an actual... What is it? I don't know.
Definitely, there's definitely a thing. Absolutely.
Is it a disease? It's not a disease. Is it?
I don't know how you classify it. Is it classified as a disorder? I don't know how it's classified.
I'm not too sure.
I mean, you see kids who, and before they take their medication, they find it really hard to concentrate. But then they take their medication and they're right. It's an interesting thing. But yeah, I think there's a whole range of what you're saying. I mean, it's really interesting because you guys were just talking about foods and things before, and there's a lot of research now going into gut health. And that's really, really fascinating. You talk to like Pete Evans, and he's doing a lot of his own research with autism and the idea of going onto a paleo diet and what that does for kids. I heard him talk a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about he had a 7-year-old who hadn't spoken, like was non-verbal, but went on this paleo diet. Kid didn't eat for a little while because it was all these foods they weren't used to eating. Wasn't unhealthy. I mean, I think sometimes it gets a bit of we do a bit of Pete bashing, don't we? But
we love a Pete bashing, don't we? Metaphorically, not
physically. No, well, he'd probably beat us up because he eats better than all of us.
Yeah, exactly right. He's a caveman diet. He's a caveman, isn't he? He's eating to survive.
Yeah, and so this kid, after going on this diet, then started talking.
Really?
I think the answer's all of the above. I think that there is definitely cases of it. I think sometimes we do have a habit of over medicating. I mean, you talk to Sir Ken Robinson, the educationalist from the UK, and he talks about how the further you go east in America, the more that people are medicated for ADD. So I mean, there's a whole mixture of it all. But yeah, there are definitely cases out there that definitely need it. But yeah, I mean, look, we're on the wellness show, so we've got to talk about getting active more and more.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know how you have detention. I was never put into detention.
Oh, come on.
I wasn't. No, I was a good
I
kid.
only knew detention. That's all I was saying.
I was a good kid, but I just wonder what kind of activities are kids doing these days to get detention?
Oh, as in, like, what sort of things are they doing wrong?
Yeah, and can you see some of the kids that are doing things wrong? Is it related to their diet? Do you see?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But there's a whole range of reasons too. I mean, kids. It's the same thing though at work. When are we always compliant at work?
Yeah.
As adults, there's always times when you want to have that little bit of a Machiavellian, streak in you. But I mean, just talking detention, they don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, if they worked, then they wouldn't exist.
Exactly right.
I like flipping the idea. I like sort of flip the idea around because in high school you get paper pickups when you do the wrong thing.
Oh yeah.
So I like getting up on assembly and saying to the kids, "Hey, have you ever thought about it? But if there's no rubbish on the playground, then there's no papers to pick up."
That's a good one.
So do you really encourage them to throw their rubbish on the ground?
No, another way around.
If they've got a clean playground.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so I like flipping. So yeah, detentions. I mean, what are kids doing to get detentions? It could be anything. A lot of the time it's because they're just not listening. The big thing for school teachers, I think, is when it stops the learning of the other kids. That's the hardest bit because you've got 25 kids there, and every kid there deserves to be able to get the most out of their day. And I think that's the toughest thing for teachers is when the kids are slowing down other people's learning.
Yeah, exactly right. And just on detention, where is is there like a Is it per teacher determining whether it's sometimes a power trip with detention?
Can be, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it can be sometimes, because I got a detention, I remember getting detention at Marsland. I used to go to Marsland College, and it was a strict Catholic school. I got a detention for watching a fight. That's of watching a fight. So that was
participating.
This is like a therapy session for Liam.
It wasn't even. Yeah, exactly right. It wasn't even a. I'm just venting now. I was 15 years old. I was, I watched a fight. And I got a Saturday detention. I had to write the school history. 4-hour detention.
Write the school history.
Write the school history
Wow.
for a Saturday. So come in my uniform on a Saturday because I watched a fight. They said I organised the fight. So how can you organise a fight? It's like you and you fight now, and then I get the detention.
You're such a pacifist too. I can't see that.
Exactly. It did happen though. I did organise a fight.
Oh,
That's the secret.
See?
But no,
That's
hold
the
on.
secret. It's not a secret, Liam. You got detention for it.
I got a detention for it. I deserved it. But at the same time, in that sense, I just told the people out there not to fight on the playground because you're going to get a detention for fighting on the playground. So do it outside of school grounds. In which case, I got the detention for telling them they shouldn't get a detention for doing anything. So anyway,
the important thing is you've learnt now, and you don't organise fights anymore, do you?
No, no, definitely not.
Just sit fitness first. Just in boxing.
Exactly right. Just in fitness first. But I'm just interested to know in terms of when does it come down to a teacher's ego or power, or when does it come down to an actual structure or when they actually deserve it? I mean, we don't have to touch on the detention thing. Last question around it, but is it because sometimes I felt like teachers were kind of going on their power trip, or they might have had a bad day, so that's it, detention. You know what I mean? So where does it fall down?
Yeah, it's a hard one.
And what needs to change?
Well, I like to believe that all teachers they get in the profession in the first place because they want to make a difference. Yeah. But it is true. I mean, we've all got egos, don't we? And it's a hard one too. But look, I think in the most of the time you're going to get the right things happening. But there's going to be those odd occasions where kids are going to feel like they're hard done by. But the thing is, and I like your point there when you said, what if your teacher's having a bad day, and that's the thing. That's a really important thing for us to learn, at a young age, is to how to manage people in certain ways. Yeah. And that you can get away with certain things in one class, but then you can't do it in another class. And I think it's really important that kids learn how that works, because it's something that they take through the rest of their life. In the workforce too, you've got to make sure that you're living up to expectations, and then the expectations of one person might be different to another person. So,
and what I like about this whole concept that you bring in to the table is the fact that and we were talking about this before, it's self-awareness. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's giving the kids out there that essence of self-awareness to understand when the teacher's, in the not right space himself, and then not to counteract that by matching that aggression or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's right.
I mean, I think that's the most important thing about school. We can go on to about NAPLAN and we can do all that sort of stuff, but I think it's all those soft skills. Yeah. And I think that society's realising that now, because you can do as well as you like in the end of year exams and in the school exams, but it doesn't necessarily give you any bedside manner if you wanted to be a doctor, or it doesn't give you the ability to be able to follow up things if you're a lawyer. And I think what we're learning is those soft skills are really, really important. Yeah. Probably much more important than the ABCs and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly right. So what? Also, let's talk about your book. You've got a book out.
Yeah. Student engagement: how to inspire and motivate every child. That's a big effort to put a book together, but it's a lot of fun too.
So let's talk through it then.
I want to hear. There's a special story that I heard about you, Tim. That you went into a school and you turned it around.
Yeah.
And now that school is thriving from the techniques that you've put into place and the love that you showered on them. And
let's go on.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. It wasn't love. It was
like
all
Tim the Saint. Who would ever thought a beer man would be the Saint?
It's spirits.
I want to hear this. I want to hear about this.
Okay, well, it wasn't just me. It was we were really blessed that we had a principal that wanted to really make a difference. And
I'm sorry. Your nail polish is just.
I saw
he's
that.
got purple nail polish.
I thought you must have. When you get you bang your nail and you get like
No. We had a fundraiser yesterday for a village in Africa, and so the kids they paid to be able to paint my nails and throw wet sponges at me. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so this school was really lucky because we had this principal that really wanted to make a difference, and we had really willing teachers who, you give them an idea and they just run with it and they'd go so far. But it was really cool. We started off when we sort of first started the project. We had only 10% go to university, and all in brawls were quite common. Like they had to cement the bins in the ground because otherwise that'd be just projectiles across the playground.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
But then we worked there for about 3 or 4 years, and we went from 10% to 45% going to university, and fights were just not happening at all. And like I was saying before, the kids were then going and doing so much more. They were going and experiencing stuff in the city. They were going and we had to go to Parliament House and explain what was going on because things were going so well. It was a real great time, really good time.
So can you define one moment that was a switching point, or was it a collective of moments, or what was the thing that really sparked from 10% to what was it, 45%?
Yeah, well, it was a whole range of things, and that's what I write about in the book. And it took me a long time to figure it out, but there were sort of 6 steps that we needed to sort of focus in on. And once we did those 6 things, it really made a massive big difference. It was just as simple as it's education. So I've got to call it the ABCs on it. So it's A, B, C, D, and then there's a random I and S there. But there's aesthetics, there's sense of belonging, cognitive willingness, changing the dialogue, then how much we invest of ourselves, and then the systems that happen around the school. Yeah. And when those 6 things work together, it just creates magic. It's really, really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I want to talk about
I've got many questions. I feel like I'm hogging it.
The pink elephant in the room.
The pink elephant.
I want to talk about tall poppy syndrome.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've experienced tall poppy syndrome in the workplace as an entrepreneur. But I think, actually, the penny has just dropped that I believe maybe there might be an example of my daughter at school experiencing it. And so just a very short story. My daughter, over Christmas, over the summer period, tried out for dance troupe. She was really good, and she practiced all the time. And she had 2 friends that tried out for troupe as well. And at the time, she didn't get into troupe, which was fine. People get, not picked all the time. But her 2 friends did. And I was really shocked because Emily was really, really good. Not only does she have the moves, but she's got the looks and the confidence. And I was so excited that she was trying out for dance because I don't have the moves. So that was about 6 months ago, and we chalked it up for, we'll do troupe again. But I was talking to my friend about this experience just a couple of days ago because she's going to a new school, and I was asking about the troupe, and when she can reply. And the friend said, well, that's most likely tall poppy syndrome. That my daughter was really good at troupe, and because she's confident, and that maybe they did that due to tall poppy. And I never had thought of it that way. And I was just thinking, wow, if that is the case, how disappointed I am because I could see the good in her, and it's just a bit unfair. And so I just want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, sure.
Because she's going to probably experience this her whole life.
And there's so many angles to that too. I mean, let's start with the idea of resilience, right? And resilience is that idea that we've got to bounce back, that stuff doesn't go our way, but it's about getting back on the bike and continuing on. And there's always going to be stories like that. There's always going to be things that are going to follow her. And I think that happens too with high achievers and people who, stuff comes naturally to them. I think that's going to happen in a lot of their life. Because people go, they watch and they wonder, why this person is so driven, or why they're so motivated, or why, and that's sort of things that happen. So, yeah.
Can you explain for the viewers who might not know what tall poppy syndrome is, from an Australian's perspective? What is it? Because it was really shocking for me to understand this, which is what I started to understand about 3 or 4 years ago. But
yeah, definitely.
Can you explain?
Well, it's the idea of that if I can't be like that, then I'm going to knock that person down, isn't it? It's the idea of I don't understand that, so I'm going to try to undermine it, I suppose.
And pull them down to my level.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way. It's from the tallest poppy. They used to cut that down the tallest poppy, didn't they? So
it's
where
uniform.
that method came from.
Yeah. But I think also too, and I mean, you're right though. It's a big part of our society.
Why do you think it's a bit part of Australian society more than other societies?
Because in America, it's completely different. They encourage people when they're going up the ladder. You get supported, and you.
Is that? Oh, I'd love to go down that rabbit hole with you, because I wonder if that's all over the place, or whether that's your experience of it all too. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, what do you mean if it's all over the place? All over America?
Yeah, because
there is a lot of competition in America, and it's very good, healthy competition. But it's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. No. Well, I think the thing is too, and we are evolving. And so to your question, Liam, about where did it start from? The formation of our nation was, really rough and tumble and really hard work, and it was about conforming, wasn't it? I mean, that's, again, we go back to Ken Robertson. He talks about the idea that we went to school so we learned how to read and write, so that then we could be a useful part of the bureaucratic machine.
Yeah.
But I think it's changing, and I love reality TVs and these, The Voice and all those sort of shows, because, when you were growing up, was it okay for a bloke to sing and dance? Was that something that was encouraged at school?
Well, yeah, I was the one singing and dancing usually, but I wasn't any good at it. But no, I do know what you mean. It was actually in my school, because I don't know, we had maybe in other schools it wasn't, because I went from Marsland to Rose Bay Secondary College. So in my later years we had Rocker Stedford.
Yeah, right.
So we in our school specifically, because I was part of Rocker Stedford, but I couldn't sing or dance. So I was Rocker Stedford's like a child high school musical type scenario. Yeah,
it's like the what's that movie that's got Rebel Wilson in it? It's sort of that, but
it's like
it's
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, exactly. Yeah.
I was the stage hand.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't sing or dance, but I got to get out of school. So in terms of that one, yeah, we did have in our school, we had an element of that, because we were big on the Rocker Stedford, mainly because our teachers, maybe that was the starting point, pushed us into saying that that's okay. But maybe if, I don't know. In my experience, it was, but maybe in other schools it wasn't.
And that's what I like, because kids now, if they're good at singing or dancing and they go on to these shows, it's really celebrated. Yeah. Rather than, and it's sort of the opposite though, Sheena, of what you're talking about too. Yeah. So, but I do like it for that reason, because now kids can embrace a talent that they may not have been able to do in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're encouraged to do that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly right. And do you think that this, because it is lingering around the Australian population of the tall poppy syndrome? What if we, could there be another way to look at it by saying, you know what, if you don't like that, I'm good at something, or does that play on it, on the tall poppy syndrome? If I say, look, you know what, I'm not good at what, I do feel as though I'm good at what I do, and you're trying to pull me down, F off.
Yeah. It's about owning that you're a tall puppy.
Yeah, exactly right. Like owning that.
You have to have a thick skin, and it is about having a thick skin, and I think that's a good life lesson, because people are going to disappoint you in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. And so it really sucks at the time. Your daughter, was really sort of suffering because she was working so hard towards it. But
she wasn't suffering actually, but it wasn't a big deal until just a couple of days ago when I thought, there could be a little bit of unfair advantage.
So big deal, was it more of a deal for you? Yeah, because you know what it's like, I've got kids and it's funny, they play soccer and
I'm not like that mom though.
No, I'm not saying you are, but they play soccer and they, did you win or lose? Oh, we lost, but let's go back.
I was just really shocked that she didn't, because she was really good, and her two friends got in, and she didn't, and I just think there's something not right there. The people that we're picking know that they're three best friends. Why would you pick two and not one? It just doesn't make sense.
But it's also tenacity, though. You want that in a child.
Absolutely,
you want them to be tenacious.
Yeah.
It Ron Clark, who's the famous runner? He writes in his book about the idea that giving out medals for everybody, it teaches them just to do it for the medals.
Yeah.
And he says his theory is that you push a kid up to the next level as soon as they're ready, rather than waiting until they're winning at their division. He says because you want them to have a love of the activity rather than a love for the medals. And
absolutely.
And that's that internal motivation too, rather than I do it because I get all this other stuff thrown at me.
Yeah, I like that, because I'll do it if I lose as well.
Yeah.
For me, I love to play rugby league. If I lost, I'd still love playing the sport. It's the losses that actually help me in moments to be a bit more motivated to go again.
Yeah.
Is that the same mentality?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what you want for your daughter.
Absolutely. And so how do you compare that to bullying? Like, is that a different story, or?
Yeah, well, see,
good question.
The B word. I call it the B word.
Is that an ABC? Is that a different ABC or
the B word? Because I think sometimes what happens is when we talk about bullying, it then everyone becomes very hyper alert to it. And look, of course, there's situations where it happens, but bullying is this. It's got ongoing, and I think it's also a lot about power, and it's that somebody's trying to exert power over another person.
Yeah.
Again, so if we're teaching kids to be tenacious, if we're teaching them resilience, and we're giving them the right skills that they need to be able to deal with these situations, not just now, but again into the future. So yeah, I mean, bullying is something that's been a lot of talk about in schools and a lot of stuff in the workplace too. And kids are very aware of it. I mean, each school usually has a good strategy. There's some schools will say stop, state, and support.
Yeah, okay.
So they'll have this strategy where the kid who's feeling like they're being hard done by is to say to somebody, stop that, I don't like that, it's not making me feel the right way. They're stating what they want, and then if they don't get that, they go and get the support from somebody else.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different strategies and cool ideas.
It's a tough one around bullying, because I felt as though from the other angle, I was bullied massively as a kid, but I'm still hanging out with those same people, and they're my best mates now.
Yeah.
In terms of just the way we pick. Maybe it's our group of mates. We just picked on each other so much. Like you call me any name under the sun, like pasty, redheaded, freckly, like all these things kept coming up when we were a kid, right? Yeah. But then other things would come up with other groups, other parts of our mates would be saying things to them, and at the time it was really hurtful.
Yeah.
But now, if you said anything like that to me, I laugh it off. So where does bullying enter banter?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, definitely. And I think the thing that you're talking about there is at the stage of development that you're at. As coming into our teenage years, and in our teenage years, we're sort of figuring out where things fit, and we really feel vulnerable because our bodies are changing, and we're trying to figure out how we fit within the adult world. We're trying to exert some independence, so that sort of stuff can really stick. And unfortunately, it still happens, and there's kids that suffer from that sort of stuff. But I think the thing is, again, is learning how the strategies to be able, like you've done, you roll with it, and you're still mates, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's difficult too, because I think people don't think about their actions. They just do stuff, and they just say stuff. And the hard thing for kids is, nowadays too, is that it follows them. Now that we've got social media and they're connected to an electronic device,
a lot harder.
It's really awful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I still get called Bunno.
Just get what, sorry?
Bunno.
What's
Bunsen burner. Red flame and a Bunsen burner. But that's my nickname.
You're a handsome man there.
No, but that's what I meant. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, Tim. About time someone recognised that. Sheena said I didn't look good naked before, by the way, so she didn't want to imagine me naked, but that's a good thing anyway. But
now you make me think about you again. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, thank you for the compliment, Tim. But I do understand, and I just wanted to ask that question because we do bully each other even now, because we're friends for so long.
Yeah.
And when does it have the fine line of, affecting you? Because it did affect me personally, and it did affect my friends. I could see it when we were 12 years old, but we've grown through that together, and now it's just a laughable movement. Do you think it's the individual person that, that it could be,
Can I ask, did you ever talk about the situation? Did you ever say that made me feel uncomfortable? Or?
I'd bawl my eyes out.
Yeah.
And we might bawl my eyes out, and then people might recognise that they go too far, or pull back in that situation. But I think what the difference is when you don't know how to show your emotion at such a young age, or you're not willing to, as a guy point of view, you're not willing to show what you're truly feeling inside. So you pretend to laugh, like if you call me Bunsen burner, for example, but inside it really eats me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And until it got to that stacking effect where it's like, bawl my eyes out, or F you guys, or whatever it may be.
I find there's several strategies that really help, and that is one of them is having sets of friends in different spots. Like, so you had your rugby league, and then you had school, and you other things. So my kids at different times have had stuff like that happen to them at school and things, but they had friends at dancing, so they then had someone that they could go to, and they knew that it wasn't them as a person, it was just that situation. So definitely making sure that we've got almost separate social circles, so that if you've got different people you can socialise with, but also two parents. What happens nowadays, unfortunately, is we're so busy being busy, that sometimes it's just having conversations with kids and finding time to be able to really connect, so that you do know when things are up. That's a really, really important one. And I often find, especially with my son, if we're doing something, on the scooter, on the bike, or something like that, the conversation will flow a lot easier, rather than just sort of sitting down and saying, "Okay, how's your day?" That doesn't work.
That's a great couple of points there in terms of bouncing between friends or having those separate circles.
Yeah.
I'm looking back from I would relate it back to a personal point of view. That's definitely what helped me. I definitely had rugby mates, and then I had my school mates, and then I had mates from different schools. So it's a good that you touched on that point.
Yeah, and then because you when these sort of things happen, you ask yourself, is it me? Is it something that I'm doing wrong? You know, what can I do better? But then if you've got those other friends, you realise that, oh no, actually I am a good friend, and I can be a good friend, and I can have good friends around me. So I mean, and how did your daughter? She said she was fine.
She probably would be so embarrassed if she knew I was on air talking about this live. She's very shy, you know. I'm more upset that it was probably something related to tall poppy. Oh, don't worry about it. Things happen all the time.
I dropped the mic last week. Did we drop the microphone last week? We're getting better.
Yeah,
we're getting better.
Sort of.
Look, we're professional, yet we're good with wellness. The technology side of things is something that we're working on. So anyway,
we're professional amateurs.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one.
I was just looking out the window there. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was just watching the whales.
Is it whales?
Yeah, right out the back there. So if you're not down at Bondi, where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right.
So going back to your book, so what sorts of things do you teach parents in your book? Because this is a book that's written for parents? Or?
It's written for teachers, but I've got parents who are reading it and they're saying there's some great ideas there. It's just flipping the narrative, you know, like just trying to make sure that you're doing stuff that's helping you to feel like that you want to be a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, if we come back to that idea of families, it's having those conversations. One of the chapters in there is about dialogue, because it's really important that we have conversations that matter. You know, there's only so much we can hear about the Kardashians, but asking kids, you know, what's going on, and, you know, getting to the bottom of stuff.
Yeah, and I love your idea of going and doing activities and talking to them during the activity, because that's probably where a lot of creative flow and conversation happens.
And the hard thing is, because, as I said, we're so busy, you know, our kids go off to dancing, and they go off to then, you know, they might have tutoring, or they might have sport and things that they do. And, you know, the coaches and the tutors and that sort of stuff, they get the chance to be able to do that too. So it's making sure that we find the time. If it's not at dinner, then it's at some stage, you know.
Yeah.
Kids are younger, there's nothing nicer than, you know, reading a story in bed at night time as they're falling asleep, and then, you know, because that's just making sure the world is a good place. You know, it's just aligning everything for them again. So,
do you think it's important for you to know the mentors and the teachers in your child's life? You know, so then you know what's actually happening.
Yeah, definitely
in that environment.
You know, it's a really good point too, because it's, if you can orchestrate that so you've got the right people in their lives too, then, you know, a lot of that stuff you're talking about before is, I mean, I'm sure you looked up to your footy coaches.
But he called me Bunno.
Oh, jeez. See, nowadays you get in trouble.
In the end he did. But I was like 18 or 19, so it was like 6 years into being called this, by the way. But yeah, it's like I looked up to these coaches that were around me, so it's important to have, and it's important for your family to know these people as well. So then,
and you get to a point where you don't listen to mum or dad anymore, but you'll listen to your footy coach, you know. Yeah. And they keep you accountable, because, you know, you can't go out and get on the terps, because you've got to get up and go training in the morning. You know.
Exactly right.
And if you turned up, you know, under the weather, they'll make sure that you do extra laps, or they do something to make sure that you pay for it.
Yeah, exactly
You've
right.
been there before, too.
It's such an insightful conversation, and so who would read this book then?
Student engagement.
So if it's student engagement, who would read this? Would the student be reading this?
No.
Or would the teacher be reading this?
Yeah, I wrote it for teachers.
Okay.
It's written for teachers.
And is it particularly for any teacher? I mean, I'm a coach now as well for a rugby league team under 18s. Is that something that I could be a teacher for as well?
Yeah, might get a few tips. I get a few tips in there, but I specifically wrote for schools and teachers in schools. But yeah, definitely there's bits in there that you'll find interesting. There's lots of stories there too.
Yeah. And I have so many friends in America who are teachers. This is something that any teacher, no matter where you are.
They can get on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
It's only $1 at the moment too.
$1 on Amazon?
Yeah, on the Kindle version, the e-versions,
I think
special for Bondi Radio.
Radio. Awesome.
I think sitting with you, chatting with you live is better than reading. So, but for those people that can't be here with you right now, buy the book.
It's on Amazon. Yeah, just got to look.
Yeah.
Student engagement: how to inspire and motivate every child.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you so much, Tim, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to say anything else whilst we're live?
No, this is great. Get you got to get down. This is a top spot.
Yeah.
Got the whales breaching out there. And
Look at that food that just walked out.
The food, look at that. We're on the Wellness Radio and we're just drooling over some chips over here.
On that note,
chips
and
deep fried calamari.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so much fun. I thought it was going to be more of a serious chat around teachers. It's been awesome.
No, not with Tim. It's always fun and jolly.
We chatted about bullying, chatted about me organising fights, we chatted about Sheena's daughter, hopefully she's not listening right now, and we chatted about Tim being the man to help teachers everywhere to help with student engagement. You're honestly a true professional, even though we have had that joking time together. So guys and girls, teachers, I know teachers out there, start buying this book, Student Engagement. It's only $1 on Kindle. I mean, you should be buying 10 copies. So super excited about sharing the future words of wisdom with you. Awesome. And where can we find this book on the last question? Is it just Amazon?
Amazon, it's on my website too, studentengagement.com.au.
And what about the Institute? Student Engagement Institute?
So from the,
.com.au?
No, just studentengagement.com.au.
Studentengagement.com.au.
Can't get too wordy because otherwise it just gets confusing.
That's true,
I'm not good at spelting.
Thank you, Tim Heinecke. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're just going to go through a song now, and our next guest, we've got Heinecke, John Taylor, 9th Dan black belt karate guru, chatting all things. He'll be a good man to talk to as well around bullying and how they combat it as well. He could be one of those mentors that we were just chatting about, Tim. So super excited about that conversation and grateful for your time, Tim. Thank you so much. So everyone out there, buy his book, and we're going to go to a song now. So we'll see you after the song.
Thank you.
Well done, mate.
That's great. Thank you. Just there? Or
just
or
there. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a good day.